Welcome to Down the Road with me, Joel Heitkamp. We got a lot of things we want to cover today. We want to talk about crime, cybercrime. We want to talk about your cell phones, how they're being used. We want to talk about your email. We want to talk about individuals that are the most vulnerable to this type of crime and what could be happening. I also want to get a chance to visit with a veto that Governor Burgum put out on 2030 and how this affects NDSU and other research facilities. But yes, there was a veto. And also we're going to get a chance to celebrate the announcement of ADM saying, you bet, we're going to crush some soybeans, and we're going to do this at Spiritwood, and that announcement coming out today. But first, let's touch upon vaccinations. Dr. Avish Nagpal is with us. He is a Sanford infectious disease specialist. Dr. Nagpal, thank you, sir, for coming on as we head down the road.
Thank you, Joe.
Let's talk a little bit, if we can, about our status today, or our numbers today. I know that you don't have any hard and fast numbers, but where are we at when it comes to North Dakota, for example, getting their shots, being vaccinated?
Yeah, so we were doing pretty good initially, and I think we have close to a little over 40% of people vaccinated. And now that most people who wanted to get the vaccination, we have covered them, and we are just slightly falling behind now. So the concern is always people who are still hesitant about getting the vaccine, getting them in, and getting them vaccinated as quickly as possible, so we can have a normal summer.
Now, are you hearing any reasons why they're not coming in and being vaccinated? Or I suppose you don't get to talk to them unless they come in.
Yeah, so, there are a couple of major reasons. One is, the vaccine is relatively newer and people are still not assured about safety. That, we have been addressing quite a bit. We have given over 200 million shots of mRNA vaccines, and we have shown that our adverse effect reporting system can pick up a side effect that's even as low as 1 in a million, like we saw with J&J vaccine, and we haven't seen any safety signal with Moderna and Pfizer vaccine, and we have given 200 million shots, and we have been using it for 6 months now, and Pfizer is now putting in application for complete approval, not an emergency use authorization. So I think we have plenty of safety data, plenty of real-world efficacy data, which is completely replicating the results of our clinical trials. So I think if you are still hesitant, this is one of the safest vaccines, one of the most efficacious vaccines. So that's one, and the other is the misinformation that's out there on social media that's spreading the hesitancy quite a bit.
Let's do that, though. Let's talk about that a little bit if we can. There are individuals out there that say, look, the people that are the most vulnerable to COVID have been vaccinated, and that's the elderly. I don't need to because I'm 30, I'm young, and I'm healthy. What do you say to that 30-year-old?
So, we cannot have a normal life without a vaccine. As long as most people are not vaccinated and there are people who can catch an infection, there will be the same people who will transmit the infection further. So, having a normal Bison game, having a normal Fargo Force game inside, that won't be possible unless and until we vaccinate everybody. Having normal classrooms, kids going to schools without masks. If we have to do community control and stop the community spread, we have to vaccinate everybody. And even though we are vaccinating a lot of people, there will always be immunocompromised people, and some of them might be in your family or in your neighborhood, in which vaccine may not be effective because of their immune system is compromised. So whatever puts them at a higher risk of complications from COVID also reduces their response to vaccines. So to protect those individuals, it's very important to have herd immunity, and the only way we can do it is through the vaccine.
Dr. Nagpal, the one thing I also hear from these individuals a lot is that the vaccine came out too quick. And by coming out that quick, we're really in a position where they may say it's safe, but they don't know it's safe. What do you say to those individuals?
Oh, absolutely not. There were no corners cut in the clinical trials. We went through each and every phase one, two, three, and now post-marketing surveillance. So vaccines are the most highly regulated medical products or products across any industry. And we have shown that 200 doses and 200 million doses, and there's still no safety signal. What else are you looking for reassurance? Most of the medicines that we give to people, like aspirin, insulin, and things, the most they enroll in a clinical trial is 1,000 patients. And here we have clinical trials across 3 vaccinations that are approved right now, which have enrolled about 100,000 people, and now we have real world experience with 100 million people getting the vaccine. So I think there's the data behind safety and efficacy are immense and irrefutable at this point in time.
So here's a couple more that I'm hearing out there, which is, when I sit there and I look at the vaccine, it has to be something wrong with you if you get sick from taking it. And I point out that I get the flu shot every year, and I know that individuals like yourself hate even bringing the flu into that, because it just clouds the issue of comparing it in any way, shape, or form to the flu. I've lost 6 friends to this disease. I never lost any friends to the flu. And so for these individuals who say, look, it's just like the flu and you're going to get sick and you'll get just as sick taking the vaccine, what's your answer to them?
Oh, absolutely not. Flu doesn't kill 500,000 people every year. And, just going by how many people it kills is a wrong yardstick. You see how many young people are having stroke, how many young people are having clots in their legs and in their lungs, and how many people who recover but don't return to their normal functioning because they still are in the hospital or undergoing rehab. So if you take the actual toll, it has to include mortality and morbidity, both. And we see a lot of young people. We work in a hospital. We today have 15 people in the hospital. These are 40, 50-year-old people. So, and even kids are not spared from side effects. They have multi-system inflammatory syndrome after the infection. So to say that vaccine causes a little bit of pain in your arm and a little bit of fever for a couple days is absolutely similar to what you have after a COVID-19 infection. There's no comparison between the two. And that's a wrong statement. The infection can kill you. Can make you disabled. It can give you a stroke. It can give you a pulmonary embolism or a blood clot in the lungs. It can lead to multi-organ failure, and even if you survive, you can have, you could potentially become disabled or have months and months of rehab, leading to loss of job or income, and that's not a situation you want to find yourself into. And on top of that, the guilt of passing on to the infection to a family member or a neighbor who may not be as healthy and they die from the disease, that's a tough pill to swallow.
When you think of those individuals that have had COVID, what are you hearing from them? I've had COVID, and what I notice is I'm out of breath quicker than what I've been out of breath before. That I don't know if it's because of COVID. I don't know. I know this, that when I went pheasant hunting this fall after having COVID, one day I walked 5-6 miles shooting birds, and the next day I didn't make it but a quarter mile down, and next thing I know, I was out of breath. Day after that, I went hunting again. Everything was fine. I don't know if it was because of COVID. I do know this, that there are individuals who tell me that they still haven't recovered their full sense of taste and smell. Are you seeing any long-term effects that might encourage other individuals that haven't had COVID to get off their duffs and to go ahead and get vaccinated?
Yeah, that's common actually. So we are seeing what we call as post-COVID syndrome, or post-acute long-term sequelae of COVID. And these are the symptoms that you mentioned. Some people have fogginess, some people have fatigue. Even having a normal pneumonia will set you back by 6 weeks to recover completely. And if you have as significant a pneumonia as COVID and you end up on oxygen or ventilator, you could easily lose the entire season of summer or fall, or even up to a year, because that's how long it takes for your body, for your lungs to recover completely. And there are some people who are seeing young people who have had COVID, and they have long-term scarring, and they, some of these might end up needing a lung transplant, which is not something that's easy to come by.
So for those of us that have had it, do your lungs get back to where they were, or is that just damage that's going to be there forever?
Yeah, so that's another hard thing to say medically, because that there's a lot of pneumonia in the lung. Now, how much of that is scarring 2 or 4 weeks down the lane, and how much of that is reversible pneumonia, it's always hard to say. Only time will tell. But there are individuals that we are seeing in whom they have recovered from the pneumonia, but their lungs are so scarred that they have absolutely no exercise capacity whatsoever.
What about,
these are not rare cases.
What about dizziness, doctor?
Yeah, and these are young people too who recover, but they have loss of sense or smell and taste, and they have neurological side effects like dizziness, fogginess, and these last a long period of time, not weeks but months, and we are still seeing people who had infection back in March last year, and they still haven't recovered their sense of smell or taste.
So will that get better? Do you know, or is that the jury's still out and we'll never know?
So, I personally think it will get better because, nerves take longer to recover. But, they've already lost about a year of their life where they could be doing things and enjoying their life. So, yes, it will recover. Many people do recover, but it's a shot. It's not worth risking a year of your life or months of your life.
Okay, one last one. Do you think that the United States or any country should be looking at some sort of COVID passport, proof that you have been vaccinated before you can do what you do?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable to do at this point in time. You don't want to do it too soon because you want to make sure that every section of the community has had the access to vaccine. And by having these requirements about vaccine passports, you don't want to deny certain people certain things or entrance to certain events just because they haven't had the access to get the vaccine, even though they want to. But the vaccine is paid for, and it's widely available anywhere. We have plenty of open spots. So now, if we have to keep our businesses open, keep our economy going again, open up the sports events, open up schools and colleges, or international travel, I think vaccine passports are reasonable at this point in time.
Will we ever be to the point where, because we're not using it, we have to let somebody else have it? And because we let someone else have it, we don't really need it or have it when we need it?
Yeah, you're seeing how COVID is affecting different countries right now. Look at what's going on in India. This is what happens when you rely on herd immunity from a natural infection. And, I don't feel very good, accumulating vaccine here sitting on the shelf, and while people are dying in some other part of the country. I understand that, we have to take care of our people first. But, at some point of time, if we are not able to use the vaccine, the more humane thing is to give it away.
Sure. Dr. Nagpal, thank you, sir. Thanks for coming down the road with us.
Thank you.
When we come back, we're going to talk about cybercrime. We're going to get a chance to talk about what potentially could be happening to you with the word hack involved. So stick around. More coming your way as we go down the road.
Howdy, folks. It's the Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you'll do for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our hay-bussin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at a salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line. Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty. You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more. Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
Hi, Hunter Ellis here for Night Hero Binoculars by Atomic Beam. These binoculars let you see anything, even in pitch black darkness. Gotcha.
The secrets are powerful wide-angle atomic beam laser that reveals objects up to 150 yards away, hidden by darkness.
During the day, Night Hero gives you 10 times magnification. And when the sun goes down, press the Night Bright button to see clearly in the dark.
Light up garbage-eating critters or spot thieves before they even get close.
Call or click now and get Night Hero binoculars for just $39.99. Order right now and you can double it. Plus, get our best-selling Atomic Beam flashlight. Just pay a separate fee.
We'll even ship them to you free.
This TV special offer is not available on Amazon. You can get it all, but you have to order now.
Call 1-800-619-1091. That's 1-800-619-1091. Or visit bynighthero.com. That's bynighthero.com. Order now.
Attention, have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug Almiron for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked Almiron, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call Almiron Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
Good to be back going down the road with you. I don't know what's going on in your life when it comes to your cell phone, when it comes to your email, but I do know this. All of a sudden, I'm getting contacted by the Social Security Administration, and I know they're lying, or at least I believe they're lying, and I don't know anybody better to talk to than Rania Mankarious and talk to her about crime prevention. She's an expert in that area, and so Ronnie, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Thank you for having me.
I have to ask you, is there an uptick in this? Is there, I mean, it seems to me, it's always been there, but it seems to me that it's just increased in the last couple of weeks, like tenfold.
Yeah, there is an uptick. And I'll tell you, the Federal Trade Commission saying so well. They got about 335,000 complaints about scam texts last year. That's more than double the year before. People around the world are saying they're exposed to about 125% more. They're called smishing. Say that 10 times. Smishing attempts every 3 months. And that's according to a new study. So we are seeing an uptick in this for sure.
Well, that's a word you don't forget after you hear it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I want to say it 3 times, but I do know this. It's so broad. It's not just one thing or the other. And I don't know how to filter whether or not one is or one isn't. Or do I just, if I don't know the number, do I delete it?
Yeah, the problem is that we have to start with making people aware that not every text message you receive, even if they claim to be Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Amazon, FedEx, UPS, that doesn't always guarantee that they are legitimate. Scammers use names, likeness, logos, branding, imaging. They use everything they can to just get you to click. That's all they want. Because once you click and engage, usually they're now taking many steps forward in terms of in adding malware to your system, There could be putting unwanted charges in your system. They can be getting your social security number, other personal information. So they're just doing whatever they can to quickly trick you and get you to engage.
So you mentioned social security number. You mentioned many of these things. If you click, do you find that it increases tenfold? In other words, do they share it with each other? Because, you know, you foolishly click because you see, in my case, it's a 701, right? I mean, that's the prefix for the phone numbers in North Dakota. Or it could be 218 right across the border for me in Minnesota, or 605 in South Dakota. So you see that number and you think, well, that has to be somebody local. And so then you click at it. Are they wise enough, which I think I know the answer, to use that prefix just to fool me and others?
Absolutely. I mean, we know that there are organized criminal rings operating overseas that are able to call you and make it look like they're down the street, you know, and that's, you know it and I know it, that they do that. So the biggest thing is, you know, we always say, if it's really important, you're not going to get a text message or a random email. And if you do, and you are worried, don't respond to the text message or the random email. Always go straight to the source itself. So if it's your bank and you get a text alert for a charge that you don't think is right, that's fine. Go ahead, call your bank from a fresh, you know, go Google the number, get on the bank's website, call from that actual 1-800 number and go through that way. Just don't click on any random links or emails that are sent your way, because again, clicking creates an open door for the problem.
Okay, so we know it's tax season, that it got extended because of COVID. So today, you know, there's a lot of people that are getting some from the IRS. Is it safe to say that the IRS is never going to get a hold of me by text message?
It is absolutely safe to say that. And you can also say the Social Security company is never going to call you. COVID detector healthcare workers are never going to call you for Social Security information or personal financial information. Those are the big things that are going on. And it is safe to say that those people are not going to be calling or texting you for information.
So, you know, in terms, and this, Rania, this is where you're going to kind of scratch your head and say, well, actually, you fall into the demographic, Joel, but I still like to think I don't. I'm 59 years old, and I like to think that I'm not as easy to scam as others, but I can tell you this. If I had an 80-year-old mother, I'd be pretty nervous about this. Are there certain age groups that really they look to target?
Actually, they look to target everyone because they know we're all so busy, and they use things we're very emotional about. So they use things like COVID, things that there's a lot of emotion and fear attached to that. They use things, like you said, like the IRS. A lot of people are very confused about it. But let's not forget, we always think about the 80-year-old in the family that's not computer savvy. Let's not forget the young people in the home. The young people in the home who are online, who have their own cell phone numbers, who are targets of identity theft, oftentimes more so than anybody else in the family. Those young people made aware that they too should not be clicking or engaging in these phishing or smishing attempts, because that sets them and the whole family up for some pretty serious issues.
You know, and I'm serious, I'm going to remember smishing. I'm writing that down so I can use that with my granddaughter someday. But, you know, are the other people that are being used here, whether it is the IRS, whether it is the U.S. Postal Service, or others that are basically being used as these agencies that somebody's lying about them? And so are they part of the, hey, let's track it down. Let's take a look at who's doing this to us, instead of just me calling, you know, individuals saying, look, you got to end this. You got to quit letting these people come on my cell phone. Do we have anybody helping us to track these folks down?
Absolutely. And I mean, you mentioned the IRS. I'll tell you, the IRS literally says on their website, please take a screenshot of any text messages that you might get from somebody claiming to be us or affiliated with us, and send it to an actual email that they have, phishing@irs.gov, because these scams are costing all of us, including these companies, millions and millions of dollars. So we're all on the same page at trying to get this taken care of.
So, Rania, and thank you to people like you for doing this and trying to get word out. Overall, if you had to speak to one, I guess you pointed out quite well that it isn't just a specific age group, but if you just had to tell people one or two things before I let you go, what would it be?
Do not communicate with anyone about your personal information through text or email. Just as a rule of thumb, don't do it. Always go to, if you have a question about anything in your life at this point relating to finances or sharing personal information, go to the source itself. Those would be my two biggest words of wisdom on this topic. And if everybody could just do that, we would really, really curtail this issue.
Rania, thank you. Smishing. I'm going to remember it. I promise you that. So thank you for coming down the road with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
You bet. When we come back, Senator Merrill Piepkorn is going to join us. You know, he's been a state senator for a while now. We're going to talk to him about an update on the legislative session as it closed out, as they went sine die. And, of course, he represents a college district. The veto came in on 2030 from Governor Burgum. Let's get his take on it as we continue our trip down the road.
Hey everybody, I'm Doug Billings, your host of The Right Side with Doug Billings on Beck News. We bring you high-profile guests, ladies and gentlemen, exclusive guests. Now, you're not going to see these guests in most of the mainstream media outlets. Another thing that I do here is give guests a platform to speak freely. You're not going to see me censor anybody. Please join us, won't you? Weeknights right here on Beck TV and online at beck.news. Cheers.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream sheets. When you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Introducing the Cool Turtle, the ultra-comfortable mask enhancer that creates a protective, cool, and breathable space between your mask and your face. Simply slide under any mask or gaiter and immediately feel the refreshing pocket of air surrounding your face. Cool Turtle's ergonomically designed, soft, comfortable shell immediately reduces mask friction, allowing you to breathe and talk in a comfortable environment.
I can actually breathe. With the Cool Turtle, no more sweating.
It's like I don't even have a mask on.
Call now and get not one, not two, but 3 Cool Turtles for just $10. Order now and we'll send you 2 more Cool Turtles free. No fees, absolutely free. Plus, you can get a 10-pack of 4-ply face masks. Just pay a separate fee. This offer is not available on Amazon. Get the real Cool Turtle now.
Call 1-800-270-1219. That's 1-800-270-1219. Or visit getcoolturtle.com. Order now.
We're the ladies of Another View, bringing you a fresh view on local issues.
Thank you for your patience and understanding.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that the most condescending, rude email you've ever received?
Well, welcome to
National
the third term of a certain president. I really believe that.
And different perspectives you won't get on the mainstream media. Watch us weekday afternoons at 4:30 Central Time on Beck News and at beck.news.
Indoor football is back in Bismarck. Bucks football season is right around the corner. Grab a friend or family member for a night of action-packed, hard-hitting entertainment. The Bucks open at the Bismarck Event Center May 8th as they take on the Massachusetts Pirates. Catch the sweetest seats in the house right on the sidelines with VIP service at a Bucks turf table. Available now for single-game purchases. Secure your tickets today by calling 701-595-0771. Bucks football, half the field and double the fun.
I've known Merrill Piepkorn before he was ever Senator Merrill Piepkorn. I knew him from his days in broadcasting as somebody you could always count on getting his story out and having a great conversation on air. But we talked him into it. We talked him into running as a state senator. I don't think he was aligned with any one party or the other, but he did run on the Dem NPL side of the ticket. And you know what he's been able to do? He's been able to work on both sides, which I guess I respect. I don't guess. I do respect immensely. The legislative session just got over. And what better time to get a chance to visit with Senator Piepkorn than right now. Merrill, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Well, Joel, good to be here. And, of course, a couple of things before we start talking about the legislative session. First of all, you know, I knew quite a bit about North Dakota politics before I got involved in the party politics, and always had been interested in it. Then, of course, as my talk show host role with Prairie Public Radio, I interviewed a lot of people, and I started paying closer attention. Now, that's been over 15, 17 years ago. And then when I got involved in the party politics, it took me a little while, though, to find out where I really belonged, and that was with the good people in the Democratic Nonpartisan League Party here in North Dakota. So I had to go through the process of dipping my toe in the water before I knew where I really belonged. So there is that. And then one other thing, Joel, is that I did miss KFGO, the mighty 790 out there in Bismarck during the 4 months of the session. But then I came across down the road with Joel Heitkamp on Beck TV, which has got their main studio right out there. And so it was fun to catch you once in a while out there, get a little bit of that home cooking out in Bismarck as well.
Well, Beck News, I think, is a perfect example of how you can do media local.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons that I was excited to say yes when they came to me and said, would you think about doing a show like this?
Yep, it's nice. Okay.
Grade the session.
Boy, I guess it depended on what criteria you were grading. Overall, as far as getting things done, probably for the greater good of the state, maybe average, a C. For overcoming adversity and being able to get the session underway and actually complete the business that you needed to do, I'll go a B plus, only because, and I'll tell you why, there were restrictions and regulations put in for masking and social distancing and such from the very beginning. Some of our colleagues on the Republican side in the House and the Senate were reluctant to embrace those safety precautions, whether it be masking, checking your temperature on the way in, being socially distant, masking during the floor sessions. And you know what? Several of them got COVID. I am proud to say that none of our Senate caucus, which is only 7 members out of a total of 47, keep that in mind, but we were very, very cautious and courteous of other people from the very start, and nobody got sick, and we all got our vaccinations as soon as we could signed up, and so we made it through in fine fashion. But I think overall, the main thing is that we did get it done, we did get through and get the business of the state done. And, you know, that's a big part of what we do out there is just taking care of the business.
You know, and of course, it's a different world because you embrace students coming and learning about government. You couldn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I missed that.
And that has to break a heart.
Yeah.
For the life of me, as Senator Piepkorn, here's what I struggle with, that image, because people really watched online.
They did.
And you know, it was, I give credit to the Legislative Council for how they automated all of that. I would also add this, though. If you're watching online and a state representative, in this case, in the House side, is wearing a Crown Royal, a whiskey bag on his head, I don't know what image he's trying to project to those children that both you and I are trying to teach about government. I look back at that and I'm like, what arrogance, what utter arrogance.
Yeah. Well, that's, you just have to take it, you know, and realize that most of the legislative body isn't like that. But that's what gets the attention. That's what gets people talking, and that's what people like to put on. Yeah, exactly. So a little self-promotion in there. And same with some of the legislation. It's the outrageous stuff, some of which passes, most of which doesn't. But that's the one that people talk about, and unfortunately, that's the stuff that gets North Dakota the national headlines too, and the national stories.
Yeah.
But I think we did a pretty good job in holding the line on some of that as well.
Well, and I got a question about that.
Yeah.
Merrill, and that's this, that, and it was this way yet in the beginning of your tenure
Yes.
as a state senator, but I think it's changed. And so let me give you my take, and you can tell me whether I'm
sure.
right or wrong. The Senate was always that common sense balance for what the House did. The House would come up with these idiotic ideas, what I call the Koppelman, Sebastian Ertl. You don't got to use names, I will.
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for that.
I mean, the real idiocy of a Kathy Scraw coming in with a bill. And, the Senate would get those bills, and they would just quietly kill them.
Yeah.
They didn't do that this time. In fact, some of those bills came through the Senate, and those bills were passed.
Well, I think one that we're going to talk more about, and I'm terrible with attaching the numbers to various bills, but I know the one is 2030 involving NDSU and Planned Parenthood and the college grant program. We'll talk about that soon, I'm sure. That originated in the Senate. But what has happened is it, I just believe, and I think it's common knowledge that in this kind of post-Trump era and during this election, Trump got beat, but North Dakota was a strong, strong state for him, and his actions really activated a certain portion of the public, of the population of North Dakota. They got out, they got into their district nominating meetings, they nominated their people, and the further west you get, all you have to do is put that R behind your name and you'll get elected. And a lot more of that political ideology, a lot more people got elected not only just to the House, but to the Senate. So bottom line is there are more, the term bastiat is not, it's not fair. It's just kind of a new, because that's basically a fiscally conservative.
It's just the word they want to use.
It's the word they want to use.
Yeah.
And, but there are more of the extremist, even conservative doesn't really describe this group of legislators, but they're more popular. They had more members in the Senate and were able to maybe make more deals in their own Republican caucus and got more of that legislation through. So you're right, that balance between the House and the Senate in that respect wasn't there like it has been in the past, and I think people are going to notice it when some of these laws start getting, enacted and become law in August or later on this summer.
Well, certainly your legislative district did notice it.
Oh, very much so.
I mean, you represent
Yes.
NDSU, one of the finest research institutions, in my opinion, across the nation. Ask any farmer whether or not NDSU does a good job when it comes to research. But the legislature injected itself into their research. They did everything and when I say the legislature, that's not fair to you. And it's not fair to Jonelle, and it's not fair to Aaron and others who have chewed my butt for saying the legislature. I mean, I'm sorry, it's the Republicans in the legislature.
Yeah, but we're there.
Right.
So we understand what you're saying.
Fought it.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
fought it. And so what they did was inject themselves into research to the point where the people that fund research are going to ask the question of whether or not they can get an honest answer or an answer that Jana Myrdal wants them to find out. So stick around. I want to talk to you about 2030.
I'll do that,
When we come back, we're going to get a chance to visit a little bit more with Merrill Piepkorn right after this.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors. Use your promo code, and for a limited time, when you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
Seniors, are you aware that you could pay less for your car insurance?
Seniors can save money on their car insurance.
You might save a little, you might save a lot.
Maybe hundreds of dollars a year.
You might save 5% a year, maybe 10%, 15%, or even more.
That's a lot of money. So call right now and find out just how much money you might be able to save.
1-800-699-0761. 1-800-699-0761.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more.
Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
Watch No Filter with me, Debbie Schlussel, for no-nonsense, unfiltered analysis of the news that matters to you. You'll see engaging guests.
It began a 444-day nightmare.
Entertaining analysis. And it has everything to do with something that happened in history. And honest movie reviews. Trust me, this is just atrocious. No Filter with Debbie, weeknights at 10 p.m. Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Thanks for staying in the rig as we continue our trip down the road. I hung on to State Senator Merrill Piepkorn from Fargo, from North Fargo. He represents District 44, and of course, District 44 has three of the strongest leaders that you can possibly have, in Josh Boucher and in Carla Rose Hansen, and and Merrill are really looked to for leadership, not just in their district but around the state. And so, 2030. It's a bill that Governor Burgum decided to take a line out, or basically Section 5, which put a criminal penalty into researchers that were working at NDSU. I mean, that's what it did. It made them criminals if they didn't meet a certain criteria that Yana Murdo and the conservative Republicans wanted to have happen. And so I want to talk to Merrill about that. Merrill, you represent NDSU. You must have had some feedback.
You know, I live in the heart of the NDSU, where the NDSU faculty and staff live. I live on 3rd Street North, which is just 10 blocks east of NDSU. So, but the district runs right up to the campus. And so I have been deeply involved in NDSU since I moved to town as a grade schooler. My dad worked in the greenhouses over there, for example, and brothers and sisters have gone to school there. So, you know, originally, I mean, we're always concerned about the pay for faculty and staff and the public employees. We're always battling away for these at least modest raises in pay to at least not drop so far behind the rise in inflation and the cost of living and everything. So we struggle with that from the very beginning, attracting and retaining great professionals there. So when this bill comes along to penalize NDSU for a relationship with Planned Parenthood in the classroom and putting a penalty on, a possible imprisonment and a fine for the president of NDSU if this relationship continues, it was just insane. And unfortunately, when you say there's been a change in the makeup of the Senate, I think this bill really exemplifies that. It was amazing to me that it even passed. And then, of course, had an easier path in the House. And thankfully, as you mentioned at the opening of this segment, Joel, Governor Burgum did at least use his line item veto to eliminate the penalties to NDSU. But still, the legislature is poking its nose into relationships, what you can teach, how you can teach it, who you can be involved with, and putting restrictions on the faculty and the university as to who they can be involved with and what they can do. And that's really going to make it tougher on the people at NDSU to do their thing, to operate in an atmosphere of freedom and discovery. Not only in just the research that they're doing, but it'll spread across all the universities. It's really pretty sad.
You know, we were visiting with NDSU's alumni office about this, and he didn't hold back. John Glover, he said, look, Joel, this is potentially $30 million lost to the state of North Dakota. And he mentioned NDSU's portion. And to me, you know, aside from the economics and the, you know, what Jana Myrdal and Kathy Scraw and these people were after, the Koppelmans were after, was they were after a provision that was as pro-life as you could be, finding ways to study and how to reduce teenage pregnancy.
Right.
And these people at NDSU got the crap beat out of them for that. And so it begs this question. Will researchers, because you're always looking for more research to be done on your campus, well, when they find out about things like this, do you think we'll get them to come to North Dakota?
I think you know the answer to that, Joel. And unless they had some personal attraction to North Dakota, wanted to come back to work, it's going to be very, very difficult to do that. But let me tell you this. Just in the past couple of few days, I got an email from a young man who's from Cavalier, North Dakota. We know whose district, who his senator is up there.
The one that did it.
You mentioned her name.
Yeah.
But he went to college at Lake Region State. And I don't know the kid. He sent me an email saying, Senator Piepkorn, I don't know you, but you're an inspiration to me as to how you legislate and as to what you speak up about. I wish you were my senator. He said, I'm getting involved in politics because of issues that have arisen in the past couple of years. And I can appreciate what you do representing the people in the Senate in North Dakota. Just from a young person. So, you know, you get that kind of feedback. And in a session where I've kind of been dragging my heels and the weight of the world is kind of bearing down on my shoulders, it's been a little tough sometimes. To get a letter like that from a young person who sees like I do and is happy that I'm there. So even it really is uplifting. It means a lot. It gives you encouragement to go on. Even though we're in the extreme minority and it's tough to get some things done that you appreciate or defeat some of the bad things that you don't appreciate, to know that you're there and at least have a voice, you can at least speak up so that this young fellow hears that there are people there representing you too. That meant a lot to me.
Well, and that can change. When I left the Senate, the Dem NPL had 19
senators, yeah.
That's right, which really means you were 3 votes away from being in the majority, because if you win 3, they lose 3.
Exactly.
And so, you know, we were in a position where, you know, we really could make a difference. Now, that being said, we had a coalition of moderate or what I call common sense Republicans. That's not there anymore. I mean, when you see Ray Holmberg and you see Karen Kresbaugh, who are people I respect immensely. Karen is, you know, a fellow redhead. I mean, this is a woman.
I love her, by the way. Yeah,
you know, just a good person.
Yeah.
But when you see them voting against the mere study of family leave,
right,
it makes you scratch your head and say, "Are you afraid of these people?" I mean, are you? And you mentioned a post-Trumpian world. It's actually, as you know, a current Trumpian world. It plays out nationally. It does. It plays out to where there's a litmus test of what you have to be a Republican in their eyes. I mean, the Rick Beckers and the Jason Heitkamps of the world are running around to districts and recruiting far more conservative, far more, you know, religious right type of candidates to run as Republicans. And, you know, it's going to blow up.
Well, you know, I think a lot of the legislators voted the way they did because they just recently had or will soon be having those district reorganization meetings where they will be held accountable by this extremist portion of the party, who now will probably be the majority represented in that room. And there are elections coming up in the odd-numbered districts, in the fall of 22, and so they want to get nominated. So unfortunately, I believe a lot of these votes were cast with looking ahead to the future. How am I going to appear in my district meeting? Do I want to get reelected again? And I am going to kowtow to this group so I get nominated and elected. Because as we know, at the present time, Minot used to be a stronghold of the Dem NPL. Now it's nothing but Republican. It's red and Republican. And if they want to get elected, you got to have an R behind your name now.
And I'm going to say this so you don't have to, and you maybe wouldn't, but Ole Larson isn't exactly somebody anybody cheat off of in high school to stay eligible for football. Merrill, good to have you here. And I'll leave you out of that.
Well, we have much more to talk about. I'd like to come back again and talk to you about not only what has been done, but what lies ahead in the future. We Dem NPLers, we have to hang our hats on some good, sound policy that we can bring forth that no one can deny. And I'm looking forward to doing that. Thank you.
Let's do it. Thank you for coming in. Folks, the governor, I don't think I'm going to give him any high fives for vetoing that line item out of 2030. He's always been a supporter of NDSU, but what he did by not line item vetoing the other part, by not taking out the very structure of how they're hurting research and research grants, those challenge grants, he hurt North Dakota financially, and he hurt North Dakota in the eyes of researchers nationwide for a long time to come. We'll close her out when we come back.
Do you worry about going to the dentist? After all, a visit to the dentist can easily cost $2,000 or more. Well, relax. The Carefree dental card is now available in your area. Call now and we'll send your actual card at no cost today. With the Carefree dental card, you go to the dentist whenever you need and you instantly pay a lot less. Activate your card and you can start using it immediately. From exams and cleanings to more expensive procedures like crowns, dentures, even braces, they're all included with the Carefree dental card. Say you go to the dentist today without any card and your bill is, well, ouch. Wait a minute, let's try that again. You go to the dentist today and show your Carefree dental card, you save $525. The Carefree dental card is just $15.95 a month, so call now and make going to the dentist carefree.
Call 1-800-416-5739 to receive your Carefree dental card information kit. 1-800-416-5739. Call now.
I can't say enough good things about these nano hearing aids.
Real people talking about nano hearing aids.
The hearing quality is great.
Until now, hearing aids used to be too expensive for the average person. Until nano. Call now and you'll get your nano hearing aids for only $297. You'll save $100. When you buy one hearing aid, Nano will give you a second hearing aid free. Call right now.
1-800-213-3815.
Spas, etc.
You've come to know and trust us for over 18 years with the largest selection and showroom in Western North Dakota for our beautiful Sundance spas. Plus, you could pick out your next home experience with our selection of pool tables, shuffleboards, and fun accessories.
Spas, etc. Your relaxation destination on Main and Bismarck.
Who do you trust with your digital life? Not all cloud backup providers keep your data truly private. Beck Cloud Backup uses advanced multi-layer encryption to keep your family photos, videos, and sensitive business documents secure and only for your eyes. Your Beck Lightband Internet service already includes 50 gigs of free storage to keep your digital life safe and secure. Call us at 701-475-2361 to start using your Beck Cloud Backup today.
Attention! Have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug Almiron for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked Almiron, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call Almiron Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
Well, good news in North Dakota. ADM is going to, whether it's convert or build or do whatever they can, but they're going to have a soybean crushing plant in Spiritwood. Where's Spiritwood? Well, think of Jamestown. And so we're going to have a place as soybean farmers out there across North Dakota and the upper Midwest, quite frankly, which means we're the headquarters of that. We're gonna have a place where the soybeans can go to get crushed and to be put into the very things that soybeans can be put into, whether it's biodiesel, whether it's feed, whether it's, well, draw that mental image yourself. Now, if you're a rancher and you can access this feed, you raise hogs, you raise cattle, you raise chickens, you do all of those things. Now you can access feed cheaper. It's easier and cheaper to raise that livestock and maybe see some of that more marginal land used even more when it comes to North Dakota as a means of making money for livestock producers. Also, if you're into biodiesel, which many of us are, I mean, I use biodiesel in my rigs all the time. All the time. Not obviously in the winter. We all know some of what happens there. But biodiesel is, well, quite frankly, a huge success story. Part of that renewable fuel standard that we've all pushed so hard for. Now, the key, ladies and gentlemen, to making sure that that plant works is to support it, do what we can in terms of realizing that's a big part of farmers' future. If I were you, I'd thank a soybean farmer. I'd thank them by saying, you know what? Make sure you get word to your board. Make sure you get your word to your men and women that serve on these soybean boards for all the hard work they did in making this happen. I had a chance to visit, albeit a little bit of time, with Ron Rauschenberger. Ron is somebody that worked with a number of governors in the state of North Dakota. And Ron's a Republican, I'm a Democrat. But he always was a builder. He always was someone that would work behind the scenes, not look for a lot of credit. His son is the current tax commissioner. But Ron was someone who I respected a lot. And I always will respect a lot because he's someone who would work hard to put projects like this together. So, you know, we all have work lists, right? Write them down. Go thank a soybean farmer and tell that soybean farmer to thank his board of directors for using those checkoff dollars and other means to make sure something like this happens. And then thank the people behind the scenes, because this is really good news for North Dakota. And we'll visit about it tomorrow as we continue to head down the road. Good riding with you, folks.